Welcome to Brave Healer Productions. We are waking the world up to what's possible for healing, one brave word at a time. So, what if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we're helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the amazing authors of one of our newest books. This one is called The Wellness Universe Guide to Complete Self-Care, 25 Tools for Life. And I have some pretty amazing, powerful people in my Zoom room today. Before I introduce them to you, I want to say a big thank you and huge shout out to Anna Pereira. She is the founder of the Wellness Universe and the lead author of this beautiful book. This is book 5 in Anna's series, you guys. Anna, you had a humongous vision for this. I so appreciate that. And I am really, really happy to be on this journey with you, making these beautiful books with this stellar author cast that you have gathered around you. One of those people is Bonnie Sheldon. She is an EFT master trainer and somatic specialist. She combines mindful movement, cognitive empowerment, and spiritual well-being to address trauma, stress, body image, and midlife challenges, inspiring hope and transformation in thousands of clients. Nancy Stevens is here. She is an ACC certified life coach who empowers women to achieve emotional well-being, balance personal and professional demands, and nurture authentic lives with actionable tools, holistic self-care, and integrative practices for clarity, confidence, and fulfillment. Carrie Benston is here. She is a wellness life coach who empowers her clients to embrace their self-worth and transform their lives through mindset shifts and behavior change. And Dr. Kim Marie Pauline is a pro athlete and lifestyle medicine strategist. She founded wellnessbod.com, cracking the code on physical and mental performance. Kim empowers achievers globally to develop and sustain the mind, body, and spirit of a champion. Oh my gosh, are you guys ready for these conversations? I cannot wait. Okay, Bonnie, you're going to start us off today. Take a minute and introduce your chapter and give us a little bit of the why behind it.
Well, my chapter is chapter 21, and its title is Body Alive, The Secrets of Joyful Longevity. And the reason I wrote this chapter, I really have a passion about this because I turned 73. I'm 73. And looking around at the people who are my age, I went to high school. Because of social media, we've all been able to reconnect after being spread around the world and the country. And I'm looking at a lot of them. And we grew up in a Midwestern town where there was a lot of German food, and we all learned to eat a lot till we were very replete. And most of the people I know who are coming to my age are very sedentary, can't really move too much. Even get off the floor would be an amazing challenge 20 years ago. So I felt that it was really important to start talking about moving as we move more and more into lives where we're sedentary in front of the computer. So I'm just passionate about that, to move in order to be able to live well. And in order to move, you would need to have the mindset to be able to do it.
Mm. Movement, right? I mean, you have a body that was made to move, and you're right about the sedentary culture. I think that one of the things I've heard a lot from people who just don't like to move is that they weren't, they were brought up in a way to not appreciate that or prioritize it. And if somebody's starting off, no matter how old they are, how would you encourage them, like with the first steps of it, if they haven't done much?
Well, I really appreciate that because for me, physical ed or PE was torture. We all used little uniforms with our name that had to be perfectly embroidered. And girls' basketball, you could dribble 3 times and then shoot. And there was no actual physical education. Even today, it's very competitive. And then folks have trouble maintaining it. You have kids, you can't get to the gym. So I would say, yes, it can be very hard. I'm in a Facebook group, Getting Started with Fitness Over 50. And there are a lot of ladies in there saying, oh my gosh, can I do it? And the answer is yes. Start slow, keep at it. And spoiler alert, my tool is walking because that's the easiest way you can start, unless you need to sit in a chair, in which case chair yoga is great. And to do chair yoga, if you can raise your arm, that's a start. So whatever it is, to just start doing something, maybe walk around the house 5 times every 2 hours, or just some little thing, and it will grow.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you so much for being here, for being in the project, and for being here to share. You guys, I'm sitting here chuckling because the universe puts these groups together. It is random, you know how that goes. And I'm going to bring up Kim to the stage next. And so we're going to talk about sitting in a chair, like barely being able to move, to peak performing athletics on the other end of the spectrum. And I just love that we're going to cover all of that, right? And me, Kim, being a peak performing collegiate level and then moving on to other kinds of athletics like my whole life. I think about what Bonnie said in terms of people starting so late, but then I also think of people who started very early and kind of burned their bodies out too. And there's like good ways and bad ways to do this. But Kim, introduce your chapter and give us a little bit of your why.
So my chapter is chapter 17, Add Life to Your Years, Unlock the Secrets to Continue Athletic Performance. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you a lot about my story because I really want you to get the book and read our chapters. But I started out in athletics. I guess that when I was a kid, I wanted my father's attention. I needed it. I felt I needed it. And that got me involved in sports. And ever since then, I played multiple sports, not just one sport. And I was competitive in multiple sports. And a lot of people used to ask me, how come we never see you? And it's because I'm so involved in my sports, right? In my sport, in order to be good, you've got to do what the others aren't willing to do. And I'll tell you, after getting to pro athlete status, coaching, even before I got there, I was coaching hundreds of clients and then it got to be worldwide. So what I would see is people would be great while they were with me, but then when they weren't with me, they'd kind of fall off the wagon and I'd say, what's going on? And there was always underlying things that, not necessarily excuses, because we've all heard 1,000,001 excuses, but they were honest with me enough to let me know that there were other life challenges going on. And I realized that in order for me to serve my clients better, I needed to take on another role, not just physical, right? So it was really mental, emotional, and physical aspect, and address that, as a whole. And basically that's what lifestyle medicine does. So that's kind of how I got to lifestyle medicine. I just realized over my lifetime that this was needed. It was needed for me to address it. And so it wasn't a great shocker, right? When other clients were coming to me and talking to me about things and trusting me with a lot of these issues. And I've been a sponge for knowledge, and I think I've been not only a student and teacher, but like my entire life. So so basically that's, and also I guess I will say that I've seen sicker and sicker clients come to me, and a lot of these people are athletes, but they're not healthy. Mentally, they're not healthy. And, there's a lot of studies. I'm not going to give it a lot away, but I've done a lot of research. And it's no great mystery that, we, especially since COVID, but it's always been there, that there's so much pressure at a higher level of athleticism that, we hear about, athletes committing suicide. And, a lot of, I guess, other people say, wow, like, how could they have done that? Like, they have it all. And it's challenging. I mean, even more challenging to get there, stay there, and the pressure from your coaches, from yourself, number one, your coaches, and the people, the audience, the people that watch you and sometimes cheer for you and sometimes don't, right? So you really, so you've got to actually have, a mind that is gonna lock just about everything else out and have laser vision focus. So it takes a certain kind of person to do that. And it's, the one thing I could say, it's, there's so many people out there that, love you and are there for you. And a lot of times we do not see that. We're so stuck in whatever we're stuck in that we feel alone, right? And it's not a good space to be in, and making something that's goodness, things don't have to be permanent, right? Things are always changing. Life's always changing. Nothing stays the same. So it's really a shame when, we do see that happen. But, suicide and just putting ourselves through unnecessary, I guess, battles without getting guidance.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to trust people too. I guess I'm going to bring that in there too.
All of the things that you said, and you're bringing a lot of awareness to it, even just by answering this first thing about your chapter. So I appreciate you. Thank you for being back in this book and for sharing with everyone. We're gonna get back around to all of our authors today, you guys, for some more juicy questions. Sometimes I hear something when an author is describing their why, and one thing that resonated that Kim said is, in order to be good, you have to do what others aren't willing to do. And sometimes in the athletic world, people don't quite understand that personality of those elite athletes. It is an alien world over there. And I'm listening to Kim talk about it a little bit. I'm like, yeah, oh my gosh. And so the more awareness we can have, the more we can help people. And that's what I love so much about the book, you guys. So it's such a gift. Your chapters are such a gift to people. Carrie, take a minute to introduce yours and give us a little bit of the why behind your chapter.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I wrote chapter 9, which is called Becoming Your Own Best Friend, The Path to Self-Acceptance. And I wrote it because it was scary navigating life at 50 alone after 30 years of marriage. And I struggled with my identity and didn't know who I was because I spent all those years as a wife and mother putting everyone else first, right? So when I asked myself, who am I? I just sat one day and like, who am I? I just didn't know the answer. And I was a people pleaser most of my life, and I constantly criticized myself for everything that went wrong in my life.
Oh, the people pleasing thing just makes me want to sigh. So, okay, I want you to think back, and you're in a moment of transition with it. You're actually in a moment of awareness of who you are. That is like a huge turning point, isn't it? And
Yes,
you take a step. So now I'm thinking about our listeners, and they're ready to take a step. What did that look like for you?
yes, very good question. And I was struggling with that myself because I didn't accept myself and I had so many negative thoughts and I was just so desperate to feel better. So I just decided one day just to let go and just give all my trouble to God. And I, turned to faith, prayer, listened to uplifting messages. And that really helped me reduce that negativity and replace it with positivity. And it strengthened not only my belief in myself, but also in God. So with faith and support, I overcame those limiting beliefs. It didn't happen overnight, it just took quite a few years. And I finally have that inner peace.
You made a big move that a lot of people aren't willing to make because they don't want to take the risk of, you guys fill in the blank of what that risk is for you if if you make that big transition. So I don't know, it's just part of me just wants to say congrats for loving yourself enough to make the move and do what you needed to do. Is there anything else about that that you want people to know?
Yeah, because sometimes we feel stuck in life, like I can't get myself out of this. And a lot of time people turn to unhealthy habits or just things, drinking, or something else. And I didn't want to take that route. I wanted to do this in a healthy way. So I just really just did some research, and I know that, we all know about affirmations and gratitude, but I just took it a little further. And I just want everyone to know that, the tool that I use that I talk about in the book is really easy for anyone to use. And it really helps you to become someone that you can rely on. And like I said, the journey to being your own best friend, it was just really, I came full circle with that. I had to go through a lot of the thoughts in my head where it came from, and I just took my time and really worked on myself. But I now have a streamline, so it's much quicker now because I developed, that system for it.
Carrie, thank you for being in this project and for being here today.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
So, Nancy, what a great follow up after we just touched on the affirmation thing here a minute ago. Tell us, introduce your chapter a little bit. Tell us your why.
Right. My chapter is chapter 8. It's daily power affirmations. Create the life you deserve. Pretty spells it out pretty if you don't know what you're going to get, it does spell out a few things. Um, without spoiling my story, I will say that my story, although uniquely mine, is really universal in its reach about how each and every one of us, myself obviously included, we do have the power to rewire and reframe our inner dialogue, the well worn habits, quote, that have lodged in us in what feels to be the truth, and to step up into a greater energy and greater therapy. This is with me, this journey was in finding, embracing, and bringing in affirmations as part of my daily life practice. It's something that I now incorporate into the whole totality of my morning routine, and I implement these affirmations into all of my life. And I can share that by expressing these are very personal. They're forms of energy that truly has, when I look back during the time I began to use them, it really has created a whole new path and outlook for how I live my life, how I see things versus the challenges and issues I shared in my story. So it is a very affirming and beautiful form of energy and proactive way of being in your life versus feeling stuck.
So I remember in the beginning of my journey of using all these different kinds of tools, including affirmations, where I never felt like fully 100% in there aligned with the energy that should be from this statement that I was either writing or speaking or both, and I think that there's a journey to get to full alignment with your affirmations. Can you talk about that for a minute? Like, what was that like for you when you first started using it?
Oh, you were 100% right. Initially, when I was introduced to affirmations and told, use these are good for you. Well, they felt really inauthentic and phony, and that I was wasting my time saying something that obviously wasn't going to work because it wasn't true. So basically, what that was, unbeknownst to me at the time, was God, the universe, standing me in front of the mirror for me to lovingly look at what was going on, that these felt so phony and inauthentic. So that factored in another journey, which was a journey of loving myself and having self acceptance, embracing my uniqueness, my idiosyncrasies and quirks, what made me me. So there is definitely a part one and a part two to this. And it initially, what might not feel good really is an open invitation for us to ask ourselves, why does this not feel, why isn't it resonating with me? Why am I resisting this? So the whole process of creating and using affirmations is really the process of us coming home to our own uniqueness with self acceptance, self love, and just embracing ourselves. Then I will say, when we do that first part of the work, then these are just a beautiful step in the fabric of our life of truly rewiring our outlook and how we do life.
It gets better, you guys. I love the awareness that Nancy just dropped about if you're feeling that way about it in the beginning, fine, good. Like just pause there for a minute and recognize the opportunity you have. Because I think it feels that way maybe for a little bit for everybody. So I love that you talked about that. Thank you. Thanks for
Thanks.
saying yes to this project and for being here today. A huge thanks to all of you before we move on to these other juicy questions I have for you today. But these chapters are such gifts to our readers. You're going to read these real, raw, vulnerable kinds of stories from real awesome people. And then they step up in the chapter with their master teachings for you. And these authors have been around a minute. They have some beautiful master teachings, and they're going to give you a practical tool in this book in that second part of the chapter. It's generous tools in here that you can use at home. You can practice, you can have fun learning new things. Thank you all so much for what you did in these beautiful chapters and for taking that challenge of putting those teachings in writing. Y'all are so good at what you do with your clients all day long, but I'm like, put it in black and white. Let's get it in there and get it to people. And you did it, and it's brilliant. So have y'all heard the quote that goes something like, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail? And so you might only have one tool. You might try and use that one tool for everything, even if it's not the best fit for the job, right? So this book is definitely going to help solve that problem, because we're going to give you a whole toolkit full of tools. But how do you guys want to encourage people who are in that place of overwhelm? They are dipping a toe in on this path. They're trying to figure out where to start in their life on the healing journey with, wherever they are. Kim, how do you want to encourage that person? What's your message?
Goodness. Well, it's the hardest thing to do for sure. But encouraging people, a lot of it is positivity, being the light and showing them how special they are and how, what they, I guess, allowing them to really see what they have around them that's light and bright that it, instead of all the doom and gloom and, I can't do this anymore. Because let's face it, I can remember myself saying, geez, like, why did I sign up for this again? Because it, not only life can take a toll on us, but bringing on all that extra stuff that comes with competition and being healthy. Again, thank you very much for mentioning, though, addiction, because a lot of us have gotten there. And it's not just alcohol and drug addiction. There's all kinds of addictions, right? There's sex addictions and shopping addictions and food addiction. I mean, anything that satisfies more than three, I'll say, of the 6 human needs is an addiction. And so it's really getting them to see other paths, like there's other choices. And often it's just allowing them to voice where they're at and ask better questions. That's what I learned. If I can ask better questions, they'll think about it. And I think the one thing is, so I've learned if someone tells you, they're going to doubt it. If it's their idea, they think it's their idea, and the light bulb goes off, and they'll go for it. So I just keep asking questions, and enough questions and the right questions for them to actually see that themselves and have the light bulb go off. And I think that's probably a lot of the gratitude that I get from doing what I do.
Yeah, power questions are powerful. All right. So, Carrie, how about you on this one? Like, maybe a listener is here. They're kind of in a little overwhelmed. They're not exactly sure how or where to start with this. What do you want to say to them?
Find the best answer is just to shut everything off. Right? When our computers are, going crazy, we just shut it down. Sometimes we just need to get away, even if it's just in a room quiet by yourself. Take some deep breaths and, try to step outside your body. Just try to, a lot of times when we're in our own heads, everything just looks overwhelming. So it's good to step outside of yourself and just look at what you actually have control over. Sometimes we're stressed about things that we don't have any control over. So I say just step back, maybe be in nature for a little while, sit outside, get some fresh air, and, realize sometimes things look bad. They look worse than they actually are. Not to minimize the situation, but I just think it's important to just stop. Like we're all constantly on the go, on our phone, social media. Stop. You just have that silence so you can hear yourself and just enjoy the peace and quiet. And I feel that people will find the answer that way.
I love it. Thank you, Carrie. Nancy, how about you? What do you want to add to this? Like if, someone's in a little bit of that overwhelm, how would you encourage them today?
Tell them that if you're feeling overwhelmed, resistant, stuck, or questioning, I would take that for me, what it was in my life was know that this is just an energy, it's just a feeling in the moment, and to foster that in as an actual invitation to reflect and ask yourself, is this true? Is this real? What's a truer truth? And your ability to move through that resistance or overwhelm and move into a higher level with affirmations or more positive focused thinking is nothing more than as if you're exercising a new muscle that's not in shape yet because it hasn't been exercised. So as you move from the old energy of feeling stuck or resistant or stagnant into the new energy, you're strengthening, you're taking that muscle that was once weak, you're strengthening that muscle, and you're developing a much stronger muscle that now has the ability to see this as an invitation, ask some loving questions, and move forward into a much more proactive, positive, solutions focused area in your life. It's nothing more to me than an invitation from the universe or God that, oh, okay, let's see what this is and unpack it.
Love it. I love listening to all of you answer the same question in your beautiful different ways. It's why I love these books so much too, because we need all of your voices to hear these nuggets in the way that we need to hear them. Okay, Bonnie, what's your version on this one? How would you like to help someone who's feeling that overwhelm today?
I think if someone is feeling overwhelmed about moving into fitness or moving into starting to think about becoming fit, or even just considering the notion that health might be connected to fitness, the first step was to probably ask, what's stopping me? What is it that's kept me from doing it before? Is to actually, maybe sometimes people find it either more difficult or more helpful to look in the mirror to ask this question. So if you look in the mirror and that's not helpful, don't do it. But sometimes looking in the mirror is a way to find a connection with the deeper self and say, well, why is it I really don't like to exercise? And that answer can be a myriad of answers, but whatever that limiting belief is can rise to the surface. And maybe it's, oh, I don't like to go to the gym because people will look at me. I don't like to move because I had a bad experience in my early gym classes. I don't like to move because my husband's going to say, what's it with you, honey? You're already way too fat. There's so many reasons or negative beliefs or things that we hear around us, is to find out what that reason is. And maybe that takes working with a coach or asking the questions, as Kim was talking about, what questions do you ask? But to ask ourselves, the question is, what is stopping me? I've had a lot of periods where I've been ill in my life. I started out as a dancer, also a competitive athlete. I was a gymnast, competed nationally, a lot of different physical things, dancer, trained as was a ballet dancer. And then when I became ill and I thought, well, now I can't do that. I had to ask myself, well, why do I think that? Why do I really think I can't do that? And I had a lot of answers and I had a lot of help in resolving those issues. But I think finding the why in the second part is definitely to be in situations where they're uplifting people, positive people, social networking, maybe at a church, maybe at a Y, maybe a fraternal organization like the Elks, maybe in a charity at a soup kitchen where people are giving, but to put yourself in enough of a positive situation that you can even think about making that change. So I say those two things.
Brilliant answers. You guys, let's shift toward your tools a little bit. Carrie, I'm going to start with you. What's the most important thing? Try, you guys, to give me one because I know there's multiple, but the most important thing you want people to know about becoming your own best friend.
I would have to say self-reflection, because a lot of times we're looking at the negative part of ourselves and we're not looking enough at the positive. We bring a lot of good to the world, or to our families, our friends, and they see that in us, but we don't always see it. So I would definitely encourage people to self-reflect, even if it means asking somebody who's close to you, what is it you like about me? Or, what's my most positive trait that you see? And you may be surprised at the answers that you get. So that's one of the things that I definitely recommend.
Nice. I like that, Carrie. It's a powerful way to go at that. Okay, Nancy, you're up next. What's that most important thing you want our listeners to understand about those affirmations?
That they come from a place of self-acceptance and self-compassion, that we're going to give our inner critic, the one that we love to give permission to run the show, tell the inner critic to have a seat and call up what's real, your ability to accept and to infuse self-compassion to yourself to move forward.
You guys notice a little theme here: self-reflection, self-compassion. Like let's pour on that love on ourselves, right? Okay, Bonnie, the most important thing about that movement, the secrets of joyful longevity, give it to me.
And if you do move or start to add this concept of fitness to your life, you're going to feel so much better. Not just now, but when you get older, the creaks will be less, the pains will be less, there'll be fewer illnesses. It's just going to be a whole lot better life.
I love it. I could use a few less creaks as well. Kim, for you, the most important thing you want your people to know about adding that life to those years?
Well, goodness. Well, the earlier we decide to start doing this, and often it's really taking a look at where we are, especially health-wise. I think that a lot of people don't make the change until they're stuck. I mean, they're up against the wall and they just don't have anywhere else to go but to actually take a look at moving or changing their diet, depending on what dis-ease aspect that we're looking at. But there's with all of the mental and emotional and physical ailments that we could have, there's so many things that we do have control of, right? We have control of over what we do personally, but a lot of times we don't have control over our environment or in the people that are in our environment. But research says that over 50% of people in the world are going to have cancer before they pass. So these types of things are real. And everything we do, all the choices we make, almost from day one, get us to where we are until we really just say enough is enough, right? And hopefully people get to that point where they say enough is enough and they really turn it around and say, okay, I'm willing to do whatever I have to do to get out of this space. And then that's when their mind is open and they're willing to look at, okay, these are your options. Where would you like to start first? Like, and they usually start with the most comfortable thing, and maybe not, but, and they've always surprised me, and sometimes I even surprise myself. So, but that's the whole thing. So really, marrying the physical aspect and your health, right?
All right. Authors, I have one last question for all of you today, and it's really to help people get to know your practices, because what I know about all of you and all of our co-authors and most of the brave healers in my community is that if I were to peek in your window, I would see you in a practice that is something that you have developed for yourself, gotten better at over the years, and has helped you become who you are today, teaching other people to live these amazing lives, right? If you peek into Laura's window, she's got her pen on her notebook. I am connecting in writing for my meditation. That is my version of meditation. That's how I connect to that higher power. It's how I practice awareness for myself. And I could sit here and list about 10 more things that I do, but that's the one I'm going to share with you all right now. Nancy, if I was going to peek at your practice, just one of them, one of your favorites, what would that look like?
I would say how I start my day every morning with my morning routine, where it's just me, myself, and me in a comfortable, sacred space in my home before the day starts, infusing myself with love, compassion, fortitude, my proactive affirmations, and a healthy dose of intentional stillness and silence, so that no matter what the day has to bring, yet unknown, who I am moves through that day abundantly, compassionately, and with a lot of just proactive work and acceptance. So you'll see me snuggled quietly and softly before the day starts in my sacred space in my chair in my house.
I love that phrase, healthy dose of intentional stillness. Yes, to that, Nancy. Okay, that was a lovely picture. I love visualizing these scenes. Bonnie, what's yours? What would be what would we be seeing in your space?
Well, I too have a morning practice, but the one thing I would say, if you looked at me, I would be in a meditative state with a body scan, which means going through your body, starting at the top, and just sensing it as much as you can, all the way through the body. And as I travel through the body, my big question is, what is the wisdom of my body telling me? And so as I go through, I might encounter an ache or a pain or a spasm, and I ask myself, what is that about? Sometimes I get an answer, sometimes I don't. But I always ask my body for the wisdom. And when I'm making a choice, I resonate with my heart before my mind. I ask my heart what it feels. What's my heart say about this? I don't ask my mind. So when I'm doing my body scan and I hit my heart, that's a big conversation is what am I feeling about today? Where's my heart leading me? Where's my heart telling me no? So I ask for the wisdom of my body.
Beautiful practice. I would imagine as we hear each other's practices, everyone's going to be like, yeah, I do that too. Yeah, I do that one too. Yeah, I do. And I do combos of all of these. I had a good one in our interview, our last interview, where we just made a melding of like 4 or 5 practices in one. Kim, if we were going to peek at one of your practices, what would yours look like?
First and foremost, it would be journaling. I've been journaling most of my life. And what that does for me is get that get that, I guess that sometimes it's negativity, right? And it enables me to get it out. So even journaling and putting it on paper will help you 100%. And sometimes you'd be surprised about the solutions that you come up with yourself when you start writing, because like, let's face it, nobody else has to see it. And yeah. And it's interesting that a lot of people said like meditation and that type of thing. So I might start in a meditative state, but I allow things to come in, whatever comes to my mind. And then I'm like a little schoolgirl writing stuff down, and I think really I don't, God, the universe, whatever we believe in, actually puts these things there for a reason. And then we can address them a little further, It's even when you're confronted about dealing with not only yourself, but other people or relationships, right? Because let's face it, we've got all kind of relationships in life. Sometimes we don't really know how to go about that. And so getting it out helps to weed, you know, the weeds start to come out, and then, you know, flowers grow, and then we can see kind of the light at the end of the tunnel. So journaling's really done a lot for me, as you can hear. And actually I have doctors that I work with. I have other pro athletes that I work with, and they'll ask me, and I can go back 20 years ago, and they go, "You actually have that?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And they wonder why what I do is so effective, because I can go back and say, "Oh, okay, this is what I did and what's going on now." And I can take a look at what I might have to do today for things to work, right? But if we don't have that, what do you want to call it, reference to go back to, it's a little harder.
Yeah, nice. I'm a journaling fan, as you heard as well. It's an awareness practice. It's an inquiry practice. It's a healing practice. It's a um, awareness of that leftover negativity that maybe you just need to move out of you. You guys have heard me say before, I write to feng shui my soul first. I got to clear out the space, right? I love the way that Kim
I
talked
love
about it.
that.
All right, Carrie, you're going to close us out with this last one for you. If we were going to peek at your practice, what would it look like?
Okay, well, in addition to what all of you said about affirmation journaling and gratitude, I do all that as well. But the one thing I do differently today that I didn't years ago is to treat myself kindly. And it's just really, just constantly connecting with myself. And I think, well, if I'm my own best friend, I think, well, how do I treat others? I tend to treat others better than myself. So now I'm learning to treat myself kindly as well, and having more self-compassion, and feeling, allowing my self-worth to emerge and embracing that, so that I can reconnect with my true identity and value. So that's like my focus. I'm trying to be more intentional, and because I don't want to lose that friendship with myself.
So important to start there first. And our entire series is about self care, you guys. So it's like, tools for life, no matter what we're talking about in any of these beautiful books, The Wellness Universe Guide to Complete Self Care. There's so many versions, and these beautiful authors shared all kinds of nuggets of awareness with you today, little bits of their stories, little bits of their tools. Just hop on over to Amazon and grab the copy of this book. You are going to be busy for a while practicing these beautiful tools. Bonnie, Kim, Carrie, Nancy, thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone. Thanks, ladies.
It's been a pleasure being here.
Thank you.
Good seeing you
Thank
ladies
you.
again.
Oh, it's good to see all of you.
So, you guys, this is way more than a book. This is a generous community that you are staring at right now. So, and I have everybody hooked up down below with their links and their websites. If you heard something today that grabbed you, maybe you have a question, maybe you want to carry on the amazing conversations that we started, they're there for you. Reach out, go explore all of the amazing things that they are up to. Okay, slide on down. You can also hop to Amazon today and grab your copy of the book. Please remember to gather over at the Wellness Universe for everything coming up for the Wellness Universe Guide to Complete Self-Care book series, events, activities. Oh my gosh, Anna Pereira has a thing or two going on, doesn't she? Lastly, today, everyone, remember your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.
All right.